into the FCC diversity czar, Mark Lloyd. I want to show you what he said in his 2006 book, Prologue to a Farce, Communications and Democracy in America. Quote, "It should be clear by now that my focus here is not freedom of speech or press. This freedom is all too often an exaggeration. At the very least, blind references to freedom of speech or the press serve as a distraction from the critical examination of other communication policies." I'm sorry, I just have to choke that one down. Freedom of speech is a distraction. Localism boards are the real focus. Well, those localism boards are being created now. Our diversity czar has just proposed that radio companies pay 100% of their operating budget yearly. If you're a small business person, can you imagine paying 100% tax on your operating budget? How long would you stay in business? That 100% tax would then be transferred to the state-run radio of NPR. If you can't pay that, well, that's okay. We understand, but you'll lose your license, and that license will then be sold to a minority group. America, hear me clearly. You must stand up and speak without fear. You carry the biggest stick, which is the truth. On global warming, people didn't speak out because they didn't want to be seen as a Holocaust denier. Who wants to be called a flat earther? So they allowed harmless legislation to pass. And now we have a $500 million in the hands of a communist revolutionary who describes his job as this.
Actually, my job is not so dissimilar than my job was before. What I do, to make it simple, I'm basically a community organizer inside the federal family.
Inside the federal family. How long have I been saying they are building a framework inside of our government? And there it is. Now, because no one in their right mind is against diversity, people will again be afraid. Be afraid this time of being called a racist or a bigot or a hate monger. America, you speak without fear, or more harmless legislation is going to be passed, and then you will not be able to speak. And you will experience the kind of fear that no one in this country has experienced before. All it will take, God help us all it will take is an event or an emergency. Here is Seton Motley. He is the Director of Communications for the Media Research Center. Seton, I'm going to play some video of our new FCC diversity czar. First of all,
sorry, not a czar.
He's not a czar?
Not a czar.
Sorry, White House.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
We need to get a czar in here so I know which ones are czars. Okay, so I want to play some video and help me out because for the life of me, he can't be saying what I think he's saying. Watch this.
State radio in Rwanda was taken over by one tribe, one group, and they began to put out propaganda so that the Tutsis were targeted. And what resulted from the fact that state radio was able to do that was essentially mass genocide in Rwanda. But the state, or this particular tribe, which controlled the radio, very purposely moved to make sure that they could do things. Media and social change. In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez really had an incredible revolution, democratic revolution, to begin to put in place things that were going to have an impact on the people of Venezuela. The property owners and the folks who were then controlling the media in Venezuela rebelled, worked frankly with folks here in the U.S. government, worked to oust him, but he came back in another revolution, and then Chavez began to take very seriously media in this country.
America, I hope to God that takes your breath away. This is the man that is going to be the diversity czar, that is going to be implementing the rules that will put people like me out of business. And he just said the incredible revolution, what was it, was almost lost by Chavez because of these corporations?
The property owners. The property owners revolted against Chavez taking over the country, but with the help, the American government, which of course was bad because they didn't want the communist revolution to fail, the diversity czar once wanted Chavez to succeed, and he triumphed, and now the incredible revolution is underway in Venezuela. He was against the American government stopping Chavez from taking power.
I have to tell you, America, this is what frightened me last week. I finished my research with this, and for a week we have been trying to find any other way to read this. We can't. We can't. We would love the diversity czar to come up, the diversity advisor, whatever the hell he is, officer, to come onto this broadcast and explain that. You're more than welcome, sir. We would love to have you on, because I'd sure like to hear how the incredible revolution with Chavez was a good thing. But then I learned that the FCC has a new motto or slogan or focus, and it is diversity. It is competition, which is against capital. You know, it's the way they mean competition
Is not winning.
Yeah, and localism.
Yes.
These things were put in under the Bush administration, and I realized, my gosh, these people, it's not about Obama. These people have been changing this road and preparing for this moment for a very long time.
Yes.
When you read the new diversity officer, what is the most disturbing thing that you have seen? What are the things that he says that stick out to you?
Well, he's fundamentally opposed to virtually any private ownership of media. He is fundamentally opposed. He falls. The original sin in communications, in his opinion, is when President Jefferson, relinquished control, the post office controlled the telegraph. When they relinquished control to a private entity, that was the original sin of communications, because that turned over communications vehicles to the private sector outside of the scope of government control.